There is a new map I have been obsessed with. It's even more interesting than Google Earth because it specifically highlights some of the wildest, most amazing landscapes in the United States. See all of these areas in green and yellow? The green represents National Forest land, and the yellow is Bureau of Land Management land. These colored parcels represent a colossal 250 million acres of undeveloped public land in the western states. The land that, if you are an American citizen, is your birthright, your land. Places filled with biodiversity, stunning beauty, indigenous history, and deep cultural significance. A lifetime's worth of exploration, clean water, and fresh air, all of which the United States Senate now wants to sell from under your feet. A whopping 3 million acres of these highlighted areas, about 2.5 times the size of Grand Canyon National Park, will be selected to be rapidly and irreversibly sold off, unless we all do something right now. It is not the government's land. It is held in trust by the federal government for the benefit and use of the American people. In this video, I will dive into this map to show you why we need to fight the sale of these lands at all cost. But if you don't have the time or attention span to watch till the end, please just know the best thing you can do is tell your senators to say no to the reconciliation bill. Make them understand no true American supports this sell-off of our public lands. You can find a link to do so on the pinned comment on the top of this video. If this bill is not amended, best case scenario is the land is put behind fences and people like you and me are kept off of it. The worst case, and what the federal government ideally wants to happen, is for this land to end up in the hands of powerful private entities or the site of extensive and devastating resource extraction, which will change the greatest frontier on Earth, the American West, forever. Every single piece of footage you will see in this video was taken from within these highlighted areas. Let's dive into this map and bring this problem to light with real-world examples, starting with the Colorado Plateau, where millions of canyons intersect and drain into the source of life in the Southwest, the Colorado River, where endemic populations of birds, animals, and plants have lie hidden for millions of years, untouched in their silent desert alcoves, where countless fragile ancient sites exist, like this massive Native American art panel containing over 7,000 years worth of history. It lies in a huge expanse of sellable land. The Fisher Towers, deemed as more valuable to line the pockets of politicians. The fantastic elk hunting land of the Wasatch Mountains. The gorgeous canyons in Zion's backcountry wilderness. The wild off-road and recreation lands surrounding Moab. The deep canyons of the San Rafael Swell. And massive expanses of the Uinta Mountains and access points for hiking and backpacking trails to beautiful lakes that lie within. Places that are truly unfathomable to think of losing. This video is about nature conservation, not politics, but I will make one exception. Mike Lee, the senator of Utah, is trying to tell us to not worry because according to him, it's not national parkland and the goal is to help solve the affordable housing crisis. Lies. Do you think this is a good place for housing development? And do you think it will end up in the hands of average people like you or me? Or will it be sold off to monolithic investment companies? But don't worry, it's not national park or wilderness land, so it's not valuable. Do you think this would look better as a strip mall or a golf course? You let me know down below. If you live in Utah, you need to understand that your senator, Mike Lee, who is leading the entire Senate charge on this land grab, is trying to sell the very thing that makes your state one of the most beautiful and healthy states in the entire United States for his own profit. Since 2012, this has been a top priority for him. Utah, please fight against this betrayal of America. Now, let's go next door and visit the nearby high mountains of Colorado, where the massive empty expanses of southwest Colorado clearly have been deemed as ripe land for exploitation. Entire mountains lie in jeopardy of being sold off, like this one. It's called Lone Cone. It sits outside of a national park or wilderness boundary, but that doesn't mean it's not an incredibly important animal and wildlife sanctuary, as well as a place of solace for outdoor recreation, whether that be hunters, fishermen, or even stuff like backcountry skiing or snowboarding. Just like the entire mountains surrounding Denver, possibly up for grabs. The source of pride and enjoyment for millions of people in Colorado. Not to mention hundreds of millions of dollars due to tourism and outdoor recreation. It is absurd to think this entire mountain could be sold to the highest bidder, but this is what the federal government is trying to make a reality. And it's important to note that the impacts of a massive land sell-off go beyond the bounds of what land parcels are privatized. The roads that will be carved through virgin land to access the new private parcels, destroy habitats, and open up this land to poaching, illegal logging, and exploitation. Chemicals from mining and resource extraction will seep into the ground and run into the waterways, degrading the entire watersheds that lie below. We've seen this happen countless times before, and nothing will change. Even just a new fence blocks the already fleeting land for migratory animals, like elk and pronghorn, that will leave countless many to become tangled within the barbed wire fences. Speaking of barriers, some of these land sale allocations were clearly not thought out properly. Take, for example, this sliver of a parcel cutting across the mouth of a spectacular river canyon in Wyoming. If someone managed to buy this, you best believe they could make it very difficult for people to access the spectacular backcountry and recreation opportunities that are present behind their property, extending miles and miles into this gorgeous mountain valley in Wyoming. This has happened to beaches in California and other areas. You don't need to own the property to have it all to yourself. You just need to block off the access points. This map is chock full of examples where privatization can block public access to wider areas. Speaking of which, let's look at perhaps the biggest uninterrupted swath of land to be opened by the government in the lower 48, which showcases very clearly that the government is specifically targeting remote, unrepresented areas to make a quick buck. This takes us to the vast high deserts of southern Idaho and Oregon. This area has been overlooked due to its massive inaccessibility and is all painted orange, ready to be sold off, because it's not important, right? Within these broad swaths are some of the last pristine environments of great migratory routes and wildlife refuges left in the lower 48, including canyons with boundless biodiversity and geologic beauty. Furthermore, on these frontiers are cattle ranchers and farmers who have used this land for generations. This land is being sold from under them, even though they have had the permits and allowances to graze their cattle on the very frontiers the government is trying to sell. Looking north to Idaho are massive expanses of the Sawtooth Mountains and the Salmon Chalice forests. The jagged, snow-capped peaks of some of the most imposing mountain ranges in the lower 48, filled with rich hot springs and countless hiking trails. Looking west, we can see a trend of green headed north through central Oregon into Washington. Beyond are the coastal ranges of mountains and the playgrounds for the outdoor-loving populations of Portland and Seattle. Entire rainforests, rivers, and waterfalls with crystal clear water opened for sale. Which leads us to the one big exception on this map, Montana. Montana has more public land than almost any of the other states. However, Montana's politicians made it clear that their lands were not for sale in the Senate reconciliation bill, and because of that, they will not be losing their public land. This goes to show you, political pressure absolutely works in this instance, and we the people can absolutely succeed. If you are from Arizona, you know your entire state is covered in some of the most historic landscapes in the world. Within the high plateaus of the Mogollon Rim, the Painted Desert, the Superstition Mountains, lie countless ancient fortresses, artifacts, and traces of the American past. Resource extraction already grows at an alarming rate in Arizona, and this will be the gasoline on the fire. The open pit mines will be one of the greatest benefactors for the newly opened public land in Arizona. Wyoming, the gorgeous green and geologically fascinating Bighorn Mountains, beautifully healthy places, from top to bottom, proposed to be opened for sale. And I just found that they're trying to sell the foothills of the Grand Tetons, the western slopes of some of the most beautiful mountains in the country, in a place where, if you have ever gone backpacking, you have connected with a truly unique place in the world. And the Teton Canyon, the access point to these mountains on the chopping block. I just discovered this. I had to come back and re-edit this video because I can't believe, I cannot believe, I have no words for what losing this would be like. The foothills of the Wind River Ranges, with countless trail access sites and archaeologic history, and the entirety of the vast, peaceful emptiness of the Bridger Mountains in the west. California, unfathomably large stretches along the flanks and interior of the Sierra Nevada mountains. Areas with some of the largest and oldest trees in the world, old-growth forests of redwoods and sequoias. It's hard to understate the importance of old-growth forests. You can't just regrow a forest back. I thought, surely they wouldn't have the oldest tree in the world on this map. And sure enough, there's a stretch of green, forest land for sale, leading right up to the Patriarch Grove, where lives the Methuselah tree. The access to it could be privatized. You want to see something that's lived freely on the earth for almost 5,000 years? It'll cost you $35. The rugged expanses of the Santa Ynez Mountains surrounding Santa Barbara, and the beloved mountains north of Los Angeles and San Diego. Nevada, basically all of it. The wide open, gorgeous desert and scenic highways where you can drive for hours and hours and not see another soul, and where lies hidden some of the best gems in the American West. New Mexico, the hot spring rich forests of the Valles Caldera, the side canyons of the Bandelier National Monument, the mountains above Santa Fe, the jungles and ancient habitats of the Gila rivers and mountain ranges. And finally, Alaska. My God. The stronghold of wilderness in the world. Hundreds and hundreds of miles of coastline, entire unpopulated forested islands to be opened. The federal government wants to tear open the gates to the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge and drill, baby, drill. There's still so much more I didn't cover here. Other creators and myself have filmed countless videos directly in these places that are threatened. America's public lands is where I have found my meaning of freedom, where I have found the cure to my mental health issues, and where I have connected with a higher power. Let's not deprive future generations of the greatest cure to the stress of the technologically advancing world. The sale of these lands is the inevitable destruction of countless more Native American heritage sites, the loss of open lands around their reservations, and the closure of more of their ancestral homelands, the lands that were once theirs before it was anyone else's. 3 million acres is an unfathomable amount. And if they succeed and it makes them money, it could be just the beginning. They will tell you they only want a fraction, but give them an inch, and you know the rest. Even if we succeed and our voices are heard and the bill is amended, you must know that this may just be the beginning. It is clear that the federal government in its current form has decided America's public lands are liquid. A way to make a quick buck and not valuable to the people who enjoy it and live upon it now. Who do you think will be the people to buy this land? People of average means like you and I? Or is it more likely to be massive private investment companies? Foreign investors? The CCP? Let me know down in the comments below. And share this video. We have until the 4th of July to act and get this bill amended. So call your senators, submit your emails to their offices, and make yourself be heard on social media and in the real world. There is a good reason that all of this is being passed during such a time period of intense news. Don't let your focus be across the street while they are busy digging up your backyard. We are Americans, and we have a long history of fighting for our freedom. It's time to do that now. In the words of Woody Guthrie, this land is your land. This land is my land. This land was made for you and me.